Welcome everyone back to the channel. I'm Zach, and look, she's already cracking up, and we just got started. This is Sidekick Suzie, and okay, so seriously, this is the first TV review I'm doing. It's going to be like an 8-week-long thing for this particular limited series. It's called Unbelievable. It up front, very, very heavy subject matter. So if you're squeamish, if perhaps this is something that's a trigger for you, I wouldn't watch this. Spoilers will be kept. This is an 8-episode limited series on Netflix, and with the Me Too movement and the speak out movement, and for those who are interested, she started doing something on her Facebook group that I will link a video down there for you guys to go watch. I will also link information to numbers in the description for you guys to go and call in case you're a victim of sexual violence, whether that be the R word or otherwise. She's a little nervous because she doesn't know what words she can or cannot speak. I told her I'd help her out. It's all good. So
we learned the last time you said I had an open platform, that it wasn't as open as I would have taken it.
Fair enough. Yeah, this is a Netflix series called Unbelievable. It stars Toni Collette, Merritt Wever, and Caitlin Dever, I think it's pronounced. So the basic premise of this show is an 18-year-old girl named Marie is assaulted, you could say. And everyone around her seems to be, well, they're not convinced that she's telling the truth. She's a foster child who has been acting out because, changes are happening and she's not used to them. And they're basically treating her as if she's lying. The detectives are god-awful human beings, the way that they're portrayed in this. And this is based on actual events. How much of it is true, I don't know. I'm only on episode 1. She's already seen this. I have not. And it is hard to watch. It's hard to watch. So that's why I said if you're squeamish or there's something that may trigger you, like you don't want to watch this. It's hard to watch. And this show is,
I think it's safe to say that
you're fine. Go ahead.
They weren't shy with the details when they created this. That they created it with a goal in mind and a target audience that they wanted to reach and a message that they actually wanted to project. And by doing that, like, it is some deep stuff. Yeah,
like I said, it's hard to watch. It's when they show the scenes of the act happening. It starts off with just a little bit, but it's like the more the episode progressed, the more they showed, the more. And the poor girl has to
the flashbacks.
Those are the hardest parts.
Yeah.
And they just keep making her have to repeat it again and again. And I get it. It's collecting to consistency. They don't want her to accuse someone or whatever. I get that, but the manner in which they go about it is just so cold.
They were insensitive.
Very, very insensitive.
They treated her, instead of treating her as a victim and somebody who just had a traumatic experience, they treated her like a criminal.
Yeah.
Like she had done something wrong. And that alone is why people don't report.
Yeah, and this gives you very real telling of what it's like. And I was just watching, I was like, my God, no wonder people don't want to report this. Like all the things they have to go through, from the examination to the interviews with the police, and it's just like, man. And then you get these detectives, like I believe, and we'll get into the actual story of the episode, but I feel like Detective Parker wanted to believe her, but
you can definitely feel that he wants to believe her, but he's like, it just doesn't add up, because of the lack of evidence. But the thing is that's your job, to take and find the evidence, to piece it together, to search.
We'll definitely get back to that by the end of this review. But yeah, like I see it, and then I get both sides of the story. You know, he wants to, but then he doesn't have nothing, and he obviously doesn't want to try to. He makes it feel like it's just a waste of time, but he's nothing compared to Pruitt, which we'll get to. Pruitt's fucking. He's a dick. He's a whole bag of dicks. But like I said, the show opens up with Marie, who's sitting on the couch with a blanket, and she's with her. You find out later her foster mother, Judith, who's trying to console her. One of her foster moms. Yes,
the last one she lived with.
Right.
Before getting out on her own.
Right. So you see her sitting there. She's trying to console her. The police officers, they show up. Officer Curran, who seemed like the genuine only one who really acted even sort of nice to her.
I mean,
at first,
I can see where Officer Curran came in, and he's like, okay, I'm here to collect, information. I'm here to collect the first initial report. But I feel like how bluntly he just asked certain things with no sensitivity in mind.
Well, it is his job to collect. He has to know those things. And
I just feel like there is a certain form of tact that just as a person you should use. This person was just attacked. Even if you don't know for a fact that they are reporting that they were attacked. There's a sense of sensitivity that should follow.
I understand where you're coming from, but I also understand you're coming from a place of this is more personal to you.
It is more personal to me.
And I'm looking at it from a different point of view.
Can I be just a little bit more personal?
Sure.
The same reason as, how they treated her, that's how they treated me. And when I reported it, they didn't necessarily believe me. Didn't change that it didn't happen. It did happen.
I understand your point of view of them not believing her. That was wrong of them to just assume I was from.
So I could say maybe I'm a little biased on that.
You are, but as far as like how the cop, the initial interview, him just bluntly, well, I have to know these things, and he does. He can't come. He can't come from a place of sensitivity. He has to. Here's why I'm here, because if he gets too emotionally invested, then he might not ask the questions he needs to ask.
I mean, you can be kind and sensitive and not be emotionally invested in something. I feel like
I have a hard time separating, personally.
Deal.
But anyway, so she's being interviewed by this officer, and then you meet, she's explaining how the attack worked with, this guy, how she was talking to Connor, who you find out as a friend, used to be a boyfriend, but then she goes home, she goes to sleep, and then a man with a mask comes in and a knife, and he ties her up, and she's blindfolded, and he takes pictures of her when it's open. Like, I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of the details. If you really want to know, go watch the show. Go watch the show. If you can handle it. It's
if you can stomach it, it's totally worth the watch.
But, then her counselor shows up and is trying to console her. Then you meet Detective Parker and Pruitt, who, they come in, they're like, look, we got to ask you these questions again. Understandable. It's like, oh, I already talked to this. Like, they're like, understandable. Now we need to hear it from you as well. So pretty much, so she has to recount it all over again. Then they go to like the examination, but backtracking, the officers say, you need to bring a change of clothes. The mother, the foster mother goes to grab stuff. You can't touch that, which understandable evidence. They could find something. They don't want it. Crime scene messed up.
Yeah.
Understand.
No fingerprints need to be left.
At first you're like, okay, they're just doing their, at first you're like, okay, no problem. They're just doing their job. I have no issues with them. But then they get to the examination and she has to again tell her story. And they, again, hold nothing back short of actually seeing full-on nudity.
This is the third time at this point that she's had to tell everyone what's going on with her, and she hasn't had time to get the process or anything. It's just like on the spot. We need to know this. We need to know that, and it's like I need a second to breathe, And
I understand that, but again, it's just everyone.
It does have to be done, but they just treated her like she was just another person in a checkout lane,
and this isn't males at this point. This is like female nurses.
This was female nurses and things that were and they went into all the details, but
they have to do a pap smear on her, several pap smears. I think they said 12 different swabs. And so she actually has her foster mom leave the room, and then she has to talk to the detective again, and you can see her flashing back several times to her being on the beach, I guess when she was younger, and she's kind of enjoying herself. But you figure out why, because in one of her flashbacks to the attack, she's staring at this picture of it. So I guess she found that to be her happy place. But
So
then
she could black out.
It's about this time that you kind of see how cold the detectives are, because they're re-asking her questions, like trying to say, okay, well, you said here was a gray shirt, but now you're saying it was just a hoodie. And I get it. They're trying to cross-examine. They're trying to figure it out. I get that, but it's just the way in which they go about it is just.
I just feel like nowhere in there did they ever just give her an opportunity and be like, hey, we understand this is a traumatic event that you just went through. Maybe you need a couple days to really just slow things down and think about it, and then we can re-go over this to make sure the details are clear.
Yeah.
And they could have it.
Well, he does give her, when he asks her to write out the statement, he does say, okay, just take it home. Just sign this for the release of the medical information, and you can take that home. He does give her that much.
At that point, she's had to retell her story 4 different times, and telling you that foster mom, she wasn't doing nobody any favors.
We're going to get there. We're going to get this. Not jump ahead. But she ends up going to her group for her counseling, and everyone's there. They're loving on her. She ends up going to her friend Amelia's and hangs out there, and she calls Connor to talk to him. So she calls her other foster mom. This is where you find out that she's a foster kid, when she says, oh, well, I'm calling Colleen, my other foster mom. We find out she was only there for a couple of weeks because some emergency happened.
What happened was she was emergency it was an emergency placement from the foster home.
Is this something revealed in a later episode? Or?
No, they said it. They said it in this episode that she was living in another foster home and they were mistreating her. And so she was emergency placed with Colleen, but Colleen already had too many kids and couldn't keep her. Right. So then they finally were able to place her with Judith. And Judith didn't even want her. Judith was like, oh, I was expecting a baby. My bad. I got a 16-year-old.
You're jumping ahead.
No, they stated that early, but
Well, no, because I haven't got to her talking to the detective yet. Yeah, you're jumping ahead. Yeah. So she calls Colleen, and you don't even see the conversation. You just see Colleen walk out of a room to her husband. And he's like, oh, how is she? She's like, she was raped. And he's like, Jesus, are you freaking serious? Like, you see the genuine concern.
Different reaction.
And so she goes to visit with the next day, and they go looking for sheets. And you see Marie acting differently, like you said, almost in denial.
The way she was treated and the way she was handled, it was like, I just want to forget about this.
Right.
I just want to go back to my regular scheduled programming of my life. So she's looking for the sheets that she had. Right. 3 weeks ago, fully stocked in that store with the same set of sheets. And Colleen's like, I would never want to look at those sheets again. But in Marie's mind, I didn't ask for this to happen. I just want my life to go back to normal.
Unfortunately, though.
So, we threw away the old sheets that the act happened on, but we want our sheets back.
Yeah, she freaked out on the worker who, I wouldn't say was trying to be an asshole, but was trying to say, oh, well, everything we have is up here, but she's insistent upon it. So she got a little snarky, and then she got even more snarky, and then Colleen was like, hey, it's just sheets. And then you understand where she's coming from. I'm not against everyone. And at points, you did feel like you were like, oh, everyone bad, because how they reacted to her. Not everyone even aware that what happened to her. She's just an employee.
Agreed.
Just being like, hey, I'm sorry.
I just felt that as an employee, yeah, you're telling me that you're back there every day and, whatever. But if I'm this adamant about something, why can't you just, even if you just pretend check, humor me. Just go check. Yeah.
It's getting darker outside. I think we're going to have some I don't like how grainy this looks. It looks fine in there.
Well,
the lighting's killing me. Anyways.
It's a different background.
True. I'm going to have to get it more well lit. So this is our first time in here, so it doesn't look great quality. Actually, it's still a great camera. It's just the lighting's messing with it. So anyway, so yeah, that happens. One of the people who was at her counseling, Ty, comes there trying to check in on her, and she's just like everything's okay. So when Colleen leaves, Colleen calls Judith. Is like, hey, I'm not really sure what's going on here. She's acting like everything's okay, and I'm not sure why I'm here. Well, Judith then goes and calls Detective Parker. Says, I have to talk to you. This is where you find out that, she gets the 16-year-old, which is Marie, how she wanted a baby, reveals that she had been assaulted at one point, but she never reported it.
And turned it all about herself.
Yes. Listened to something about her, pretty much said she's lying without actually saying she's lying, but tried to play off, oh no, that's not what I'm saying.
Essentially, what she was getting at and saying was, well, because she didn't react like I did, it must not have happened.
Right.
And she didn't outright say that, but even the detective was like, is that what you're saying? She's like, well, no. But yeah, that is exactly what you said, Judith.
So then Detective Parker goes and he starts talking to Connor, and you see some inconsistencies
really windy
with what Connor was saying versus what she had said to him. Which, yeah, she was scatterbrained. It was a stressful situation. I understand what was going on, but the detective wasn't taking that into account. Maybe that's just how he has to be. I'm not sure. But then he talks to her, and he's basically telling her that she's lying. And you can start to see that she's flustered and frustrated. And he basically bullies her along with Pruitt into saying it didn't happen.
I feel like it wasn't that he didn't believe her, but he was stuck in a predicament like, do I oppose, my fellow detective, or do I go with this? I felt like I can't really prove that she's telling the truth. And her story is not really consistent. So I get that on Parker's side, and I almost kind of feel for him. But Pruitt was just flat out jerk who really just needed a good to the face.
Oh, no doubt.
Absolutely no doubt. That's just how I feel about
so
him.
So basically, they get her to admit no.
And he didn't bully her. He totally bullied her.
And she basically says, no, it didn't happen. So they say, okay, I felt the statement, telling us exactly what you did. So then they talk, and they almost make it like it's a fucking joke. Oh, thank God this didn't go too far. Yeah, remember the last one? Yeah. Oh, didn't he sue that person?
They totally joked around about it. And I just want to note on the fact that when we say Pruitt bullied her, I want to say he was basically yelling, but he wasn't yelling. He was loud with her, and he had that parental, like, I don't even want to say it's a dude thing because it's a person thing, but like that dominance and that.
But if you think he was that here, no, he gets worse when Parker's not there.
Yeah, totally worse when Parker's not there to see how he acts. So I feel like he only toned it back because Parker probably would have reported.
Yeah, so they come back in, and she's like, okay, can I leave? Like, yeah, and Pruitt's like, no, stop. This isn't what you said. You dreamed it. You thought it was real. No, you said it didn't happen. No, she wasn't saying it happened. She was saying she had a dream and she thought it was real.
Right.
And no, so they make her again make another statement stating that she didn't do it.
So at this point, 6 times she has had to go over this.
So she goes to Judith to get her bike, and Judith starts arguing with her. She's like, well, look, you've already involved yourself enough. And she tries to defend herself. No, that's not what I did. Fuck
it's
Judith.
What you did, Judith.
Fuck
it's
Judith.
What you did. Own your stuff.
So then her counselor and Ty tried, and I never caught this counselor's name. Not once.
I'm sure it's going to come up in the next episode.
Right. So they push her to go back again. So she again goes back, but this time Pruitt has a different officer with him. And he's telling her, well, you've already said once, you can do a lie detector test, but if it comes out that you lied, then I got to put you in jail. Then you can lose your stipend for your place. Like,
can I note that as he's telling her, well, yeah, it's your choice. You can do a lie detector test. He's also discouraging her from doing it. And then as you were saying, like threatened her with her living situation and losing her stipend. And because she lives in an apartment in a small community for, kids who were in predicaments like foster homes who were having a hard time getting started on life. And essentially a false accusation or a false report can get her evicted.
Yeah.
And he used it against her. And that's not okay.
So she again caves. And so when she comes back downstairs, he says, "Oh yeah, she just thought it didn't get this big," and blah blah blah. Like nothing she said, nothing we heard her say. So now the counselor's mad at her. Everyone in her group is mad at her.
All her friends
are just pissed off at her because they think she lied. That's what they're told. Well, she lied. And they're like, "You're disgusting. You're this, you're that," which just makes her feel worse.
Literally said that they were disgusted.
Her best friend Amelia won't even talk to her. So the episode ends with her walking home and stopping on a bridge and preparing to jump off. And that's how the episode ends. So they leave you on a cliffhanger of, okay, is she going to jump? What's going to happen? Like I said, she already knows. Obviously, she's not going to.
Not going to spoil this for you. It's worth the watch.
So I kept telling her, don't spoil things.
I won't. I'm not even trying to spoil it for him. And that's really hard for me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
For a first episode, it was really good. And I thought she's looking at this from a different point of view because of, she wanted to.
I personally was sexually assaulted. So for me, it's different.
Yes.
And I can't just necessarily.
I'm reviewing this as a show. That's how I'm reviewing this. I understand the serious nature of what the show is about and everything. But God, I can't get over the graininess of this.
We'll fix it next time. But I mean, like you did say, I am going to do my own review.
Yeah, she's going to do her own
mine
review.
Will have the gory details that
I
cannot.
She'll be on Facebook. It'll be easier for her to do. But that was episode 1 of 8. We'll do this. This will be every Wednesday from now to the final episode.
I'm actually looking forward to it. I can't wait till we do the next one.
Yeah. So every Wednesday evening around 6, this will be up. So we look forward to next week's episode. Quick programming note. Quick programming note. Tomorrow will be a movie review. I don't know what the movie review is yet, but that will be up tomorrow evening around 4. So
does anybody else like surprises? No surprise.
So that will be taking up the slot that was for my NXT reviews. But I'm Zach.
I'm Sidekick Suzie. Did you just clap because I finally said it? And and you got your own tagline too, Sidekick Suzie. I am Sidekick Suzie. And you're what? What? I'm confused. Signing off. Oh yeah. That's what you need to say. I mean, this is Suzie signing off. And I want all of you to really think about this. If you know anyone, all that stuff's down in the description. Talk to someone. And thank you guys for coming. And remember, join the nation. See y'all later.